Thank you, everyone, and welcome back to Network 27. I'm Alderman Walter Burnett, Alderman of the 27th Ward. I'd like to welcome everyone to this show today. We're going to be looking at the brand new Salvation Army Center over in the West Humboldt Park community. I'm here today with Captain Nancy Power from the Salvation Army. She's the one who spearheaded this and helped to get this this building, this edifice together. There's a lot of great things for the community. We're happy to have them here. They used to be over on Monroe and Ashland. Well, they are there, but they're here too, so now they're here, and they moved over here. So, Captain, thank you very much for being with us. So you're with the Salvation Army. Now, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
I am Captain Nancy Powers, and I have been at the Harbor Light Center. My husband and I first came in 2001, and the building needed to be replaced, but the neighborhood had really gentrified, and the Salvation Army really wants to work where we're needed. So we started looking for a specific spot, and I do believe that God brought us here, found the spot for us, and it was absolutely perfect. And we just happened to have the best alderman in this ward, who was extremely supportive and helpful and allowed us to meet with the community, allowed us to get their vision for what they'd like. And the results are what you're seeing here today.
So, Captain, thank you very much for those compliments. So you were over on Monroe and Ashland. You and your husband are partners. Both of you all are captains. In the Salvation Army, you all have titles. You're a soldier, but you're a soldier for the Lord, right? There's a song that says, I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord. So I thought they were singing that for you guys. But anyway.
I like that.
But anyway, so people have rank in the Salvation Army. You all go through a program of training and all those things and dedicating your lives to the Salvation Army, and that's all you do.
Right. We have to basically give up our homes and any kind of situation. It's almost like missionary work in many ways.
So it's a Christian organization.
It is. It is. Hidden right there in the name, the Salvation Army. But we go to seminary for 2 years. Many of us come in with degrees already. But once we're in seminary, then they kind of look at what our skills are and what kind of things they think we would be best at. And then they assign us where they want us to be. We asked for a small rural situation, been in Chicago ever since. I guess I'm glad I didn't ask for urban. I don't know where they'd have sent us. I would not change. It has been fabulous.
So not to cut you off, but we have several other guests that's going to come on as part of your team. So we got a few minutes here. So I just want to get this out. So you moved from Monroe and Ashland. What were you doing over on Monroe and Ashland?
We have a substance abuse treatment facility for about 200 men. That's in various stages. We have an intake department. We have a very intensive, about 30-day program. Then we have 2 different halfway houses and a 3/4-way house. It is possible for someone to stay with us literally up to 4 to 5 years. They don't come to the situation of addiction, overnight, and it's going to take a little longer to get people truly, back into society. We also have a transformation from federal penitentiary to living in the community. Many of the folks coming out of prison are not acclimated to all of the things that have occurred since they went in. What is a cell phone? And a smartphone is a really odd device. The whole computer age of filling out applications online. They may or may not have a good relationship with their family, so if they don't have to live with them, they can develop that relationship a little bit longer.
So you help folks who have been to federal prison to bridge back into the community. Fantastic. So that's what you're doing over at the place right now.
And we have a church.
In the federal, with the Work Release Center, like folks like Dan Roskankowski was there, if Robert Gorovich was to come home, he would have been there.
We've had a few
Alderman
famous
Ike
people
Carruthers
come
was
through
there.
us.
A whole bunch of other folks been there. But tell me this. So over there, you have these two centers. The Work Release Center have how many people?
About 200
So
also.
you got 200, so you got a total of 400 folks that's over there all the time. And it's an antiquated building. You've been there for a long time, right there on Monroe and Ashland. So you're moving over here. Any other programs you have in that building?
We have a full church.
Okay.
We have regular Sunday morning meetings, Wednesday night Bible studies, discipleship classes, men's groups, women's groups. But when we move here, we're going to expand that into a full community center, and that's what we're so excited about.
Okay. So when you came to me and said that you were interested in looking at this property over here, which used to be like a salvage yard, it's funny, it's now the Salvation Army, and I said, well, we need to go talk to the community. I think it's great. You spoke to the West Humboldt Park Development Council and other folks in the neighborhood. They embraced you, supported you, and welcome you to come to the community. So, and you went and you listened to the community, and the community told you a lot of things that they needed in the neighborhood. Are they okay with people getting help to get off of drugs, which is for free, right? People don't have to pay. And also, as far as Work Release Center, it's an opportunity for folks to be closer to their family after being incarcerated. And so they welcome that, but also they ask for things for the young people and the seniors. So can you tell us the other components that you're going to have here in this facility?
We will still be a full church. We'll have Sunday morning services, Wednesday night Bible studies, and all
this is the church that we're in.
This is our beautiful chapel.
How many people can you sit in there?
560.
Oh my God, hallelujah.
And my goal is to make my husband go looking for chairs.
Good deal.
But not because I want numbers. I could care less about numbers.
You want souls.
But because there are so many folks here that just need to know they're loved. Not only that we love them, but certainly that their Heavenly Father loves them and has a plan for them. And our job's to kind of help them find the tools they need to reach that plan. That may be through GED classes, that may be through our employment services that does everywhere from basic assessments and initiation to how to look for a job, to actual placement. It may be through just support programs to get kids off the street. Many of the young people that we've met with, and we've had focus groups with 5 gangs, and they tell me, you know, they wish that there was some option, but they just don't believe there is. But if we can get them off the street into the gym playing basketball.
So you have a gym here?
I have a full high school-sized gymnasium, and we will have leagues of basketball and soccer. We will have kids programs, after-school programs, scouting programs.
You have a camp?
We have a wonderful camp. Kids can go for up to 4 weeks if they want to.
So you're going to have after-school program. And you also have a group of young people who play in a band or march or something like that?
Dance.
Dance, okay.
I have a hip-hop dance troupe that would love new members, and I have a miniature hip-hop dance troupe.
So tell me this, so people are like, okay, how do they have all those things in one building? You know, you have guys who've been incarcerated, you have folks who are trying to get off of drugs and alcohol, and then you have a gym and you have kids in the same place. How do you do that?
Well, we knew we were going to do that when we designed it, and so the building is designed specifically to take care of and make sure that we are following the Salvation Army Safe from Harm. The program side with the substance abuse program and the federal prison is on the far end of the property, and there is a hall that leads here, but it has 2 doors, and those are locked. Staff can get through them. If somebody needs to go between them, they need to have a staff person to access it and a good reason to go. And they may have a reason. On Sunday mornings, the doors will be open to come to church, but the staff will also come with them. Our men in the intensive unit, 24 hours a day, have staff.
Fantastic. So the gym part and the community center part is totally separate, is separate from all of them. They can't participate in it. Matter of fact, they have their own gym and own basketball court. They have rooms, they have televisions, they have all those things, but they also have guards. And well, I don't know if you call them guards, but you have folks to make sure that they do the right thing and you know, do what they're supposed to do. So
we also have 127 cameras throughout this campus.
Fantastic. So, Captain, and you've been approved by all of the authorities that you get your funding from in relationship into dealing with guys who've been incarcerated to make sure that it's separate from the community. And but you also giving them a basketball court. They have their own recreational facilities, their own gym, their own basketball court,
their own fitness center.
Their own fitness center. So all those things are separate in their community, and both of those groups, from what I understand, and I saw them, both of those groups kind of share it, but they share it separately.
Different times.
So you even separate the guys who's trying to recover from drugs and alcohol from the guys who are that are in the work release center.
Yes.
So they're even separate. So you got like 3 separations going on in here. But also with all of that, you have some counselors here to help folks with their mental challenges and a myriad of other things. You know, this is not a lot of time for me to just talk to you, Captain. But from what I understand, you have some other folks on your team who's going to come and give me more details about the different components that you have going on. So, Captain, if people want to donate or volunteer with the Salvation Army, what should they do?
They can go online, safreedomcenter.org. There's a place to volunteer, there's a place to donate, there's a place to get more information. If they wish, they can give us a call and they can come and take a tour of the facility. We have a community open house that they are welcome to come to, and we will continue.
Which happened last month. But Captain, so one of the things that we didn't tell people is, where's this new place located?
825 North Christiana. That's right on the corner of Christiana and Chicago, which is about 2 blocks west of Kedzie.
Fantastic. So, Captain, I want to thank you very much, and God bless you for everything that you do. Being a captain is like being a minister, but also being a minister is like being a pastor and having a corporation. So not only do you run this, but you run a whole bunch of people that work for you to help other folks in our community. But you also are a fundraiser. You know, you do a myriad of things, you and your husband as a team. So we really appreciate everything that you all do, including going out, feeding people, giving them hot coffee, a whole bunch of other things that you all do. So we really appreciate everything you do. And you also allow folks from the community, if they want to get hired, to help you all ring the bells in the wintertime.
We will, and in fact, in the month of October starts our time of taking applications, so folks should give us a call if they want to do that now. We also will be having Thanksgiving dinner.
So those folks get paid?
Yes.
That's right. And
we'll be having Thanksgiving dinner here, and then we have Christmas programs where kids can get toys. We'll have a full meal here on Christmas Day. So there are lots of things going on for the holidays. I'd love for people to come and get involved, and I want to say thank you to you. I truly believe that this center would not exist if it were not for your support.
Well, we say, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. So the center wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. So we want to give God all the glory. And God bless you, Captain, and thank you very much for coming on to the show.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Lori Newson. And Lori has a title that I haven't been able to remember. Lori, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Lori is here. She's one of the newer employees with the Salvation Army. Lori, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and tell them what your title is?
Thank you, Alderman. Again, Lori Newson, and I am the Director of Community Social Services for the Salvation Army Freedom Center.
Fantastic. So tell us, Lori, about yourself and what you're doing here. What were you doing before you came here?
Prior to coming to the Salvation Army, I spent probably about 25 years of my career working among large organizations like the City of Chicago, the Chicago Housing Authority, Cook County Housing Authority, and I even spent some time in Pittsburgh with their housing authority. So in those roles, I was basically instrumental in developing innovative, affordable housing programs for low and moderate income families.
Fantastic. But also, you came to this community, you had a program going on, and I think that's how you and the captain met, because you were doing some things over here in West Humboldt Park. What were you doing?
Yes, in January of 2012, I actually started working with West Humboldt Park Development Council and Northwestern Medicine to implement part of their Healthy Initiative program, where we worked with organizations throughout West Humboldt Park Development, West Humboldt Park, to educate families on how to lower their risk factors for diabetes and other chronic illnesses.
Fantastic. So I think the captain probably saw that, man, this is a go-getter. She's out here encouraging the community to do things that they normally wouldn't be doing in regards to their health. We should get her on our team. And she pegged you and put you on the team. And now she have you doing exactly what for the Salvation Army?
Okay, so right now I continue to work with the community in order for us to get a better understanding in terms of the needs that need to be met in this community. As you know, each Chicago community is a little different, so part of our job is not to tell a community what they need, but for us to listen to them so that we can better understand what their needs are, so that we can then go out and develop programs and services that we can bring onto the site that will be able to meet the needs of those community residents here in West Humboldt Park.
So far, what do you have? What do you have in place for the community?
Okay, so right now the Salvation Army will continue to sponsor its mobile feeding and its mobile outreach program.
That's where you had a vehicle go out and feed people?
We have the large Salvation Army canteen, and we, for the mobile outreach program, we go into about 5 communities within Chicago, and not only do we provide a meal, which is typically a soup and bread and a drink, but we also work with the individuals that we find on site at that time to see whether or not they need to be connected or linked to an immediate service. For example, if we run into someone and we feed them, we also can assess based upon their needs. If they need to go into, say, detox, or they might be homeless, then we can actually, at that time, immediately, with our social work team, to be able to link them to a shelter or even get them to a hospital or detox center. So not only do we have our staff out feeding them, but we also have a team to follow in order to be available, readily available to connect them or link them to an appropriate service.
So you guys actually go out and try to help save people's lives, but you feed them, you use the feeding to attract folks to you to see who's in need, and then you evaluate their needs and try to connect them.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And then through doing that, eventually, possibly, folks end up coming to God, right?
Absolutely.
But that's not, but you don't just go out there preaching to folks.
Right.
You go out there to help people.
Because
you show God's work by doing God's work, right?
And our belief is that, you know what, it's very difficult for you to get anyone to listen to you or learn anything if they are hungry. So the idea is to make sure that we are basically able to meet that essential need, which is to make sure that they're fed. And they'll be in a position to be able to listen and to be able to understand what it is that they need. And hopefully they will be drawn to Christ.
Fantastic, fantastic. So what else are you doing here?
Okay, so again, we mentioned that in addition to the mobile outreach program, we also have mobile feeding. Mobile feeding serves in the same way that mobile outreach, but we just don't have the social service component, and we actually go into 26 communities 7 days a week within the city of Chicago. So we have communities on the north side, the west side, and the south side.
So all of that will be coming out of this center?
Absolutely, will be coming from this center. So in addition to that, we're, as Captain Nancy mentioned about the Christmas program, we also have, we call Angel Tree, where we work with the community and they families sign up so that we can make sure that those children of those families are able to have a nice Christmas, and we provide Christmas toys.
Fantastic. So that sounds like a lot of logistics, putting those kind of things together. So how many vehicles do you have going out to do that?
Typically we have the large canteen, but we also have about 3 or 4 other vehicles that we make available in order to serve the community every day.
And then you have how many people doing that?
We have, on the mobile feeding and mobile outreach program altogether, we probably have about 6 employees.
Fantastic. So I know when the Salvation Army first came to the community, they started meeting with the community. They incorporate the community into their plans, but they got busy in the community. They started taking the mobile vehicles out in the neighborhood, feeding people, helping people, connecting them to services. Matter of fact, across the street on Christiana, across the street from you all, or on the same side of the street where your building is, Christiana from Chicago Avenue to the dead end part of the street going north. We had a lot of prostitutes over here and a lot of folks over here getting high and a lot of other things going on, and you all just came right in and started dealing with those people, not to push them out, but to help them out of their situation.
Absolutely. We don't see a person as a drug user or a drug dealer or a prostitute. We see those individuals as children of God. So it's our responsibility as children of God to be able to make sure that we share the word of God and encourage people to open up their hearts to receive Christ, and so that they'll be on a better path. We recognize that that is important. It's not for us to come in and create an environment of judgment, but really an environment of love and acceptance and tolerance.
So, Lori, when you say that your job is to go out to the community and to see what the community needs, what do you mean by that? I mean, outside of the mobile trucks going, do that mean communicating and working with the different community organizations in the neighborhood? And
Absolutely. When Captain Merle and Captain Nancy Powers embarked upon this journey, they actually understood that it was so critical for them to go into the community in order to assess the needs of the community, in order to build the Freedom Center. Right now, we work with all of the community stakeholders, including the YMCA, West Humboldt Park Development Council, of course, your office, along with the some of the local schools, the library, and some of the other key community-based organizations. So we work with those individuals in order for us to be able to, one, leverage our resources in order to be able to provide good programs and good services for the families, and also to make sure that the programs and services that are actually needed, because again, we can assume that families need certain things, but it really isn't. That isn't always the case. It really depends on how well we're connected to our community residents to get a true understanding in terms of what they actually need. So it has really been a pleasure to work with the key community stakeholders to really help shape and form what the programs and services will be. So we're working on implementing an after-school program, a music program. We've been working with various organizations to bring in nutrition and cooking programs, not only for the broader context of the community, but also the residents of our Harbor Light program as well.
Fantastic. So I know also you all are talking about one of the needs that I'm sure you found in the community, besides folks needing help with trying to turn their lives around, is jobs. So are you all proposing any job programs?
We currently have a job program, and Etoya McGee, who is the director of that program, she'll probably be coming on shortly. But yes, we're looking to expand the program beyond what we offer now. So we're looking at making sure that the job training program and then our links to various employers will be able to serve the community, the broader context of the community.
Fantastic. So I'm sure the people in the that's watching the show right now are like, okay, I want to know about that job program.
Right.
So we give you a minute. We're going to have someone to come
Absolutely.
up and give you a lot more details about that. So I think that's great, Lori. So how does it feel working for an organization like the Salvation Army? And then tell me, did you have a different perspective of the Salvation Army before you got involved?
Okay. I am just thrilled to have an opportunity to work with the Salvation Army, and I work with a wonderful, dynamic group of individuals. Captain Merle and Captain Nancy Powers are just great mentors, and I remember when I worked for the Chicago Housing Authority, and I believe one of the reporters interviewed us one day, and someone said, well, how do you feel about transforming or redeveloping Cabrini Green? And I think I remember saying something very similar to this. We can transform the brick and the mortar, but we really can't transform a family until we transform the minds and the souls of individuals. And the Salvation Army gives me the opportunity to be able to witness to people and really help get to their core. Because again, it's not until we change the minds, the hearts, and the souls of individuals that we're going to see very viable communities. So I am just, absolutely thrilled to have an opportunity to work with the Salvation Salvation Army.
Fantastic. So, Lori, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. I had the pleasure of working with you when you were at CHA. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, we all were disturbed when you left CHA, but I'm happy to see how God put folks back together again, and you're still doing your ministry. So, so we're very grateful and thankful for that. I want to thank you very much for coming on to the show and for all the help that you've been giving us in the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman.
All right, fantastic. So ladies and gentlemen, just stick with us. We're going to have our next guest coming up from Salvation Army to give you more information, so don't go away. All right, everyone. So now we're here with Laura Garcia, the Director of Clinical Programs with the Salvation Army, to tell us about the, I call it the Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Center that the Salvation Army has that, from what I understand, is free, right? And you know, one of the things that we find in society is that some folks do at times want to get help. And a lot of times it's hard to get help because a lot of times there aren't any empty beds in some of these places. So Laura, why don't we start out by you telling us a little bit about yourself and then tell us about your program that you're working on in the Salvation Army.
Sure, absolutely. So before I worked for the Salvation Army, I worked for a very large substance abuse treatment program here in the city of Chicago that has 10 different locations and served over 2,000 individuals afflicted with substance abuse. Prior to that, I worked for the Division of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse from the Department of Human Services. I actually monitored substance abuse treatment centers across the state for compliance. So
Man, you look so young.
Thank you. I've been in the field of substance abuse, counseling, and recovery for over 15 years.
Is that right?
So yes, yes. And what are my responsibilities? I'm the Director of Clinical Programs. I'm responsible for supervising our transitional living unit, which is basically an intake department. We call it a transitional living unit because many of our clients are homeless. They have no support from family and basically can't, even when they're able to go into treatment, they have nowhere to sleep. They have no employment, have no way to support themselves. So when someone's ready to change their life, we bring them into our transitional living program, and they're allowed to stay there in our dorm-style 20-bed unit while we're assessing them, getting them an appointment with our psychiatrist, with their doctor, making sure that their health is okay, and placing them in treatment.
How many psychiatrists do you have?
We have one psychiatrist on staff. He comes in to our program twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and all of our clients have access to his services. After they're done with the transitional living unit and we've assessed them, our psychiatrist has seen them or approved their admission. The majority of our clients go into our 28-day residential program where they're receiving up to 25 hours of treatment, working on everything from just structuring their schedule, getting them up at 5 in the morning, making sure they're having breakfast, starting group treatment services, individual counseling. We keep them pretty busy. And we do that on purpose. It's a very structured program. We have to remember that addiction is a very unorganized and impulsive disease. So in the 28-day program, we focus on really providing them with a schedule, providing them with support, making sure that they're focused on recovery and not what am I going to eat later on, or where am I going to sleep. Once they're done with the 28-day program, our intensive rehabilitation unit, we transfer them to our intensive outpatient program, where now they're utilizing two branches of our department, which is our Harbor Light residence, where they can live while they're attending their intensive outpatient program, meeting with a counselor, going to group for
How long could they live there?
They can live there up to 4 to 5 years. Well, in the initial phase, they're in for about a year, but then we move them into the 3-quarter house, and they can stay up to 3 to 4 years there.
Fantastic.
Yes, in our intensive outpatient program, they get 9 hours of treatment per week. And once they're done with that, for an estimated of 8 weeks, they participate. They're transferred into our outpatient program, where they're now receiving 3 hours a week of treatment, still meeting with a counselor for individual therapy, If they still need to see our psychiatrist, they're able to see our psychiatrist. We have a very close relationship with the medical staff that they're working with, making sure that everything that that in the past has been neglected, they're maintaining it.
So tell me this, Laura, if somebody I want to change. I need to get rid of this illness. I need some help. I heard I can go to the Salvation Army. What happens?
What happens is we have walk-in appointments, which are very early in the morning, from 7 to 8 in the morning. So you can walk in and actually request an appointment, or you can begin the process. You can also call. The majority of the people that want to enter our substance abuse treatment program are coming from the hospital, coming from a call from a probation or parole officer. We do accept clients that are on probation and parole. We work with them very closely so that they can meet the mandates of the court, but also begin to change their life. So that is the first step, making sure that they get an appointment so that we can begin the assessment process. We have to make sure that we are looking at the biopsychosocial model, which is looking at everything from their medical, psychiatric, family, living, recovery environment, any trauma or adverse childhood problems that they might be carrying with them. Once we establish that, then we will determine what is the best level of care, what is the best approach with them, because everyone is different and everyone brings a very unique set of problems, where one person might be dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder and basically utilizing substances to cope with their memories and their inability to resolve their childhood issues. Another client might be dealing with the fact that they just cannot read and write, and no matter how much they try to advance in their life, many doors are closed to them. So the assessment part of starting treatment is really, really important. It gives us a lot of data and a lot of tools to begin working with our clients on an individual basis.
So from what I understand, at the other place, at the Harbor Light on Monroe Street, you all had all men. Are you going to have all men here?
We've always been able to accept women in our outpatient program. We just don't get the referrals. People don't realize that we've always been able to service women.
So you can accept women?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And you are set up upstairs to accept women?
We are not set up currently to accept women in our residential program or our intensive outpatient program. We've never received the number of referrals where we can request that another department be opened. We just don't get the referrals. But we're here, we're available, and if we see that we have the numbers for there are many women who are seeking substance abuse treatment with us, then we can look at that
So
area.
I had the opportunity to go on a tour, and I'm sure they're probably showing some footage now. Some beautiful rooms, nice rooms, windows. I know they can go play basketball, they can go work out.
Yes.
I like the fact that they can go on the roof and smoke if they want to smoke. They can go outside and play basketball. So you all have a lot of different things from them. They can have visits. They have a nice room in a corridor where they can sit down with their family members if they want to visit them, kids, family, whatever. And you all have a lot of things going on for them.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And I heard that when you get to the 3/4 room, the 3/4 area, that you're like, you have a privileged room to go to.
Yes.
They have like, when you like graduate, that you've been involved for a while and you've been clean for a while, you
Yes.
got like this nice little dorm room,
Yeah.
or I don't know if you call it a dorm room, but it's like a gathering room where the guys who've been around for a while and been clean for a while can just
Yeah.
go kick it and
Sure.
listen to music and look at TV and have their own little separate area from
Yes.
everyone else.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's a great incentive.
Yes, it is. The Salvation Army recognizes that we have to respect the dignity of our clients. And in the early phases of recovery, people really need a lot of support and a lot of structures and people to come around them and kind of hold them together a little bit, just give them the strength that they can't see in themselves. But then later on in their recovery, as they begin to develop, they become empowered, they need their separate space, their time to themselves, and just a little alone time in a beautiful space. So
That's great.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, but you all don't have detox.
we do not have detox.
So how does that work? And detox is when you're real bad on drugs.
Yes.
You want to get off, but you need to be in like a secluded area where you can't get out or can't
Yes.
be tempted by anything, right?
Yes.
So how does that work with you all? How do you deal with, so you get folks from the detox centers, or tell us how that works?
Yeah, we have very close relationships with many detox centers across the city of Chicago. The hospitals like us very much. So what we do is we don't have a detox program just because we're not set up. We don't have the safety structures in place for us to, a detox program requires a lot of manpower and also a lot of resources. And so at this time, we're just not able to offer it.
So what happens is people come to you, say they need help, you evaluate them, you take them through your program, then you see if they need to go to a detox center. You send them to a detox center.
We do.
They go get detox, then they come back to you.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime, and in fact, you know, addiction is a chronic condition, and if our client does relapse, we actually make a huge effort to get them to detox safely, and then they know that they can return. The doors are open for them to return. Every now and then we will have clients that, you know, we will have to refer to another program for other circumstances, but we're always receiving clients from our detox programs around the city.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you very much, or should I say muchas gracias.
Oh, de nada.
And un placer.
Igualmente, muchísimas gracias.
And really appreciate what you're doing. God bless you, or should I say Dios te bendiga, for everything that you're doing
Thank you.
to help people, and appreciate the Salvation Army, what they're doing. And I appreciate the fact that you come to an area, you all come to an area where we have high crime, high drugs, a lot of people addicted. You come where people need help at. And that's why the community embrace it, because a lot of family members have family members who may be ill right now and need help, and it's good to know that there's a place that they can go and get themselves together before they come back home.
Yeah, absolutely. And because of that, we recognize the needs of the community to also have an adolescent substance abuse treatment program.
Fantastic.
So we're very excited to let everyone know that we will be bringing an adolescent specific substance abuse treatment program in our outpatient program for children from 12 to 17 years old.
Praise God. So
Right.
you also are going to have meetings here, right? You
Yes.
have what you call them?
12-step meetings, self-help.
12-step meetings,
Yes.
self-help meetings are going to be held here. So anybody from the
Correct.
community who used to be addicted to drugs, alcohol, who need meetings, can come here and come to a meeting and be around folks to be encouraged and supported.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I want to thank you very much for coming
Sure.
on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, just stick right with us. We got one more great guest coming on to tell us a little bit more about all these great things that's happening with the Salvation Army.
Right.
Again,
Great.
muchas gracias.
De nada. Gracias a usted.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Now, we got a little meat going on here. You heard us talk about jobs. I know you all been waiting to hear about the jobs. Jobs is always important, and jobs is a thing that really can help to transform a community.
Absolutely.
And it can help with all those other things that's going on in the community, also with the other entities that's in the Salvation Army. So we have with us Etoya McGee.
Yes.
And Etoya, why don't you tell us who you are and your title and what you do?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Praises be to God. My name is Etoya McGee, and I am the Transitional Jobs Program Manager for the Salvation Army Freedom Center. Prior to coming to the Freedom Center, I worked with Chicago Housing Authority and its Family Works Career Services Program. I was there for 5 years, and then I transitioned over to the Salvation Army.
So what does your job entail here at the Salvation Army?
At the Salvation Army, we receive a grant through the City of Chicago to provide employment training and services for individuals who are homeless and who have a criminal history. And so they are the ones that's our target population, ex-offenders and homeless individuals who seek to be reintegrated back into the workforce.
Fantastic. So folks come here, Etoya, and they say, hey, I need a job, right?
Yes.
So what happens?
What happens is we sit down with them and we do an assessment to find out where their skill sets are. The funny part about it is, Alderman, that a lot of people come and say they want a job, and it's not that they're not employable. We want to make sure that they have the proper training. We have several relationships with employers throughout the city of Chicago to employ individuals, but they do need to be trained and they do have to have the training, and so they come to us. We We assess their skill level, and then we send them through a week-long job readiness training that prepares them for the interview, how to fill out an application. The interesting part is if you have an individual who has come home from being incarcerated for several years, he may not even know how to apply online. And that can be discouraging for an individual who has the skill set but doesn't have the wherewithal to know how to apply for the job that he rightfully deserves, particularly after he has repaid his debt to society. And so we help them transition through that process and give them the encouragement and the tools that they need to be successful to get over that hurdle of the interview and the application process.
So it's a holistic process. So you all also, you train? Do you train
Yes,
people?
We do. Well, we train them with job readiness skills, soft skills, how to apply online, how to fill out an application, a resume. We help them create and build a resume.
How to interview?
Absolutely. We do mock interviewing. We do an intensive mock interview program. I also have a master's degree in human resource management, and so I've been on both sides of the interview table. And so I have a little bit of an idea of what employers are looking for, what kinds of things individuals and candidates, prospective candidates, need to say and do to really get past that interview process.
So you can help employers find good employees.
Absolutely, and that's the goal. We want to partner the right skill with the right people. Fortunately, through the Salvation Army, we are given the advantage of being Christ-like and not judging people from their past. A lot of our guys, for example, come with skills that they've learned while they were incarcerated. I have a guy who had 38 felonies, and he is now working at a very reputable nonprofit agency, counseling and giving back. But it was that 38 felony stigma that he had that he couldn't get past, and so we helped him transition through that, and he's now being successful in his prospective chosen career field. And so we like to approach it in a holistic approach and make sure that they have all the tools they need to get them through the door.
Fantastic. So we just heard that the Salvation Army have 200 beds, 200 rooms of people who are going through recovery. Then they have another 200 of people who have been incarcerated.
Yes.
Then they have the community, right? So your job is going to be to try and help all those folks get employment, but except you were saying something about with the ex-offender program, they already have not the ex-offender program, with the
Department of Corrections.
Department of Corrections already have a training and a job placement program over there.
Yes, they have a similar program, and while we work separately because our populations are funded through different channels, we do work together in terms of our population that we serve. So there's no rule that says a person who's in the Department of Corrections program can't come and take advantage of our services if they meet the qualifiers. And fortunately, we're evolving. We've created partnerships in our transition to our new home where we want to evolve so that we can meet all of those populations prospectively without any barriers or anything that says that we can't work with a prospective population.
Fantastic. So I'm just thinking, periodically I do job fairs and I try to do them. Were you involved with any of them?
We were involved in one in October, I believe. We did have a resource fair, yes.
So I'd like to maybe talk to you about so one of the things that we found is, like one time we got Peace Market.
Okay.
Right? Peace Market was hiring. And we had this whole line of people to come get in line for Peace Market. But guys were in line. They had their pants hanging down, jerseys on, smelling like weed, all those things, and to them, they didn't feel as though
anything was wrong.
Nothing was wrong.
Absolutely.
Right? Because they haven't never been taught how to interview for a job.
Exactly. And
so from there, I said, never again am I just going to have a job fair and not educate folks, because I started talking to the guys like, look, man, you go in there with your underwear, showing how you know that lady you interviewing with may be, disturbed by seeing your underwear.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right? Or you're not looking appropriate. I think the person who looking more presentable may get hired before you do.
Absolutely.
You're competing with other folks. So that's good that you do that. Now tell me this, do you do drug testing? Yes.
Well, we will be able to when we move over, when we are officially in our new facility with the help and the strong partnership with Lawndale Christian Health Center.
Fantastic. So Lawndale Christian Health Center is going to be here in the Salvation Army too. So it's going to be a free health center too.
Absolutely.
So with the drug testing, that's something that the employers really like.
They do.
Right?
They do.
Because it's a cost for them,
It
for
is.
one, but also it gets them past not knowing who they having
Absolutely.
to come in there.
Who the
because-
candidates are,
That's
yes,
right. So
yes.
that's a big deal for employers.
It is.
So it's good for employers to know that they have somewhere to go where they can get someone that's have some kind of soft skills, but also at the same time is clean.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting, you said something, Alderman, that I really appreciate, is that when we do send our candidates out for jobs, fairs, resources, or whatever opportunities they may be qualified for, we make sure I don't let any of our clients come in without a suit or dress pants and a tie, because it's not enough for you to be qualified, but you have to look the part. And that's part of our training. That's part of our intensive job readiness training that we stress, is that, for example, our client with the number of felonies, if he walked in here, you wouldn't be able to tell that. But if you have the persona that precedes your qualifications, that's a barrier. And that's what we try to educate our clients and our community, that you have to be presentable, you have to be qualified, and you have to be prepared for the opportunity.
And the fortunate thing is the Salvation Army have access to clothes.
We do. We provide clothing vouchers for all of our participants that come through our program and successfully complete it. We also provide transportation as well.
You provide transportation?
We do provide transportation up until such time they get their first paycheck, and so we do support them throughout the first 180 days of employment. And so there's all kinds of supportive services that go with our program, thanks to the funding of the City of Chicago and other partners that we work with to help that person maintain employment. And as you said earlier, that's the viable part of our community. If people are working and they're able to provide for their families and their communities, they won't resort to being on the street. They won't resort to other means of employment or other means of financial gain, because they'll have it and they'll feel secure. And then that's a holistic approach that we like to take with God's help.
So if companies needed to do customized training for folks, could you all help them with that?
We would, and we have done that. We've worked with several partners. For example, Employee and Employer Services. We worked with them last year, and they customized the training exactly for a few of our candidates so that they could meet their needs and meet them where they were. And it was successful. It was a vocational program, but it was very successful. So we want to model that type of approach and build partnerships as we grow. We do have a small kind of cap that we have to meet, but as we move over to here, that will grow as the community's needs grow.
Fantastic,
Yes.
fantastic. Well, I want to thank you very much. So if folks wanted to come in and try to get a job, what should they do?
They can contact our office. Our contact number is 312-291-7600, and they can ask for me or just ask for the jobs lady, and they will be transferred to my office, and we will invite them to orientation and give them information, and we can take it from there.
Fantastic. So tell us your name again, Ms. McGee.
Etoya McGee,
Etoya
the
McGee.
Transitional Jobs Program Manager.
Fantastic. Now,
Yes.
can they come in?
They can stop in, yes, and if I'm available, I will certainly sit down and meet with them and do an assessment right there. But if I am not, we will definitely schedule some time that's convenient for both of us, and we
So
can
if employers are looking to connect with you to try to get people to be employed, what should they do? The same thing?
The exact same thing, and in fact, please make sure that they identify themselves as an employer.
Yeah.
The other great thing is employers can get tax credits for hiring ex-felons. There's funding for that, and so we can discuss that as well in greater detail. But yes, please have them give me a call, and I'll be more than happy to sit down and meet with them.
Fantastic, fantastic. So ladies and gentlemen, you're probably seeing a lot of the B-roll going on of the tours that we went on. There's a lot of great things happening here at the Salvation Army. As you can see, they're probably going to be playing bingo here with the senior citizens.
Yes.
We may have some things going on with the young people with sports and activities and trainings and camps. And, it's a myriad of things helping people turn their lives around. Folks being able to be close to their family after being incarcerated, to have work release here so they can still be close, because unfortunately our community has the largest number of recidivism coming to this area, so it's easier and cheaper for families to be able to be with their family if they're close by, so they don't have to travel abroad to be able to see their family or get close to their family. So you all are helping them to get their lives back together. And you were saying that the Work Release Center has a training program
Yes.
also, and a job placement program to try to get folks back on their feet. So
Absolutely.
this is a facility that also has church
Yes.
every Sunday.
Yes.
Recruiting people, looking for more soldiers to get involved and to help
Absolutely.
save souls. So I
Yes.
think it's just fantastic. And from what I understand, you all do something with the food depository, if I'm not mistaken, with giving
We
out
do.
food.
We do. We
So you give
partner.
out food, you give out clothes. It's like, man, this is like
It's a
a
mecca.
one-stop shopping
Yes, sir.
place
Yes, sir.
right here. This
Yes,
is
sir.
great. And so I just, I'm so happy that the Salvation have come here. I was excited when they chose to move back in our community, and particularly over here where we need the help at.
Absolutely.
And this is the beginning of Christ doing more work over in this neighborhood to help
Praise
turn
be
it
to
around.
God.
So
Yes.
I want to
Yes.
thank you very much. I want to thank all of the other guests. I especially want to thank the Captain
Yes.
Power, and also her husband, and the Salvation Army overall for all of the great things that they do. I know in the wintertime, it's going to be people really going to appreciate that hot chocolate driving up on them in that truck. I love that
Yes.
hot chocolate, man. That hot
is
chocolate
good.
is addicting, that hot chocolate driving up in that truck and giving folks, keeping them warm, and but also letting them know that there are some warm hearts that's
Yes.
concerned about
Yes,
them.
and that they can come to Christ.
And that's
And
something.
that's
praise
exactly
God.
why we're
praise
here.
God. So
Yes.
you all do the work. Don't brow people with Christianity.
No.
You just browbeat them with love and help, and they end up coming. So
Yes.
I have the pleasure of always going to the ceremony every year at the Salvation Army on Displays when they have all of the guys who've been on drugs and alcohol,
Yeah.
and some of them are celebrating sobriety program. Where they're celebrating over 30 years of being
Yes.
clean,
Yes.
and they are so appreciative, and it's so amazing to see such professionalism and folks just so happy about how God have helped them turn their lives around, and Salvation helped them to get clean, and they just come and celebrate every year, and
Yes.
we cheer them on. Matter of fact, I had the marigold one time.
Oh.
It's just a great event. So so it just shows you how God is working and how people can turn their lives around. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank the Salvation Army, thank Captain Powers, thank all of my guests that came on today. Thank everybody who helped me to put this show together. Ladies and gentlemen, and thank all of you for watching Network 27. God bless you all, and I'll see you next month. Thank you.